Yeah, hi, good morning. You are able to see my screen, right?
Please record the session.
Hello? Your voice is breaking. I am unable to listen your voice properly.
Hello?
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Okay.
Yeah, in today's session, we are going to discuss about the keywords. So first, we will discuss about this keyword, and after that, super.
I think we have not covered the protective modifier yesterday.
Yeah, that's a simple. Just I am calling outside. Okay, I will show you that also.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, today's session we are going to cover these things. And about the protected, yeah, we will discuss that also. So this is one keyword which is used in our applications oftenly. So this, super, and final. So what is the use of keywords? So Java is having around 105 keywords. So if keywords are specific to your language, and you are not supposed to use keywords as your program name or variable name or a method name. So we are not supposed to use keywords as your program name, that is class name or a variable name or a method name. So these are the restrictions we need to keep. So keywords are special words which are going to use in your Java. So if you are looking into our ordinary example, so public, right? So class name, test, open brace and close brace. So here public is a keyword, void is also a keyword, and if you are writing public static void main args, open brace and close brace. So here if you look at this, so public is a keyword and void is also a keyword and main is also a keyword. So like that, Java provides some predefined words to use in your applications, and those keywords are not supposed to use as your program name or variable name or a method name in your Java classes. So that is the use. And first we will discuss about this. So this is used to refer your current class instance variables. And second is this is used to call your current class methods. And this third one, this is used to call your current class constructor. So these are the some of the uses of using your this keyword. So this keyword is used to refer your current class instance variables, and this is used to call your current class methods, and this is used to call your current class constructor. So this means in your current class, and super means, so if you are using super keyword, so we can apply same these rules. So super is used to call your superclass instance variables, immediate superclass, and this is used to call your not current superclass methods and superclass constructor. So these are the use of your this and super. So this is used to call your current class instance variable. So and one more thing is this is used to call your current class methods, and this is used to call your current class constructor. These are a few important usages of this. And if you are saying super, super is used to call its superclass instance variables, and super is used to call your superclass methods, and super is used to call your superclass constructor. So these are the uses. So assume I am having a class A, class A, class B, open brace and close brace, open brace and close brace. So assume class B extends A, extends B. So if you are using super keyword in class C, so what will happen? So it will access next means immediate superclass variables and immediate superclass methods and immediate superclass constructor. So if you are using super keyword in class C, so which class variables it's going to call? So it's immediate superclass variables only it's going to call. So B class instance variables and B class constructors and B class methods it's going to call. So that is the use of your super. So if I want to use A class methods and A class variables, then I need to use super in B. Then your super method of B will refers to your A class. So that is the use of super. And final keyword. So if you are declaring a final keyword, so before a variable, so before a, if you are using final keyword before variable, so int variable, right? Int I is equal to 10. So how to make this as a final? So use final keyword before this.
So
So
basically, you're restricting the use of the variable, right?
yeah,
To the
so
class.
yeah, if you are declaring a variable as final, you can't change the value of this variable. So assume this is my code. So after few lines, if I am making this as 20, I is equal to 20 means you will get the compilation error because final variables cannot be reinitialized. So once if you are declaring a variable final means it's only initialized once and you can't able to change the value for that particular variable. So here you will get a compilation error. So that is use of final keyword before a variable. So final keyword before a method. So if you are writing a final keyword before a method, so how you make it as a final method? So assume I am having a public. So write m1 method is there. So keep final here. So your final method cannot be overridden. So assume if superclass and subclass class A and close this and class B also having the same method and the output of this one is hello and the output of this one is hi usual. So out so extends A. So now if you create an object and if you execute that this code though, so what will happen again the method overriding principle your subclass will override the your superclass implementation. So I don't want to override my subclass. So sorry, I don't want to override my superclass code. Then keep a final keyword before this. So your final methods cannot be overridden. So the use of final keyword before a variable is we can't override. So override. So if you are making a final keyword before a method, so what will happen? The method cannot be overridden. So and if you are using a final keyword before a class, so before a class, if you are using a final keyword before a class, so how to make a class as final? So as you same thing. I'm taking this example again. So keep a final keyword before a class, then it's a final class. And assume I am having one more class B. So now you will get a compilation error because final classes cannot be extended. If you are saying a class as final, so you can't able to extend that class into subclass. Here A is a superclass and B is a subclass. So in this scenario, it works fine because it's a non-final class. So non-final classes can be extended, but when it comes to final class, so you can't extend final class in another class. So that is the use of your final keyword. So if you are declaring a final keyword before a variable, the variable will act as a constant and you can't able to change the value of that particular variable. So whatever the value you have added to that particular variable, that will be the final value and you can't edit that value in your program. So final variables acts as a constraints. So final methods. So if you are using a keyword before a before a method, then that method is called final method. And if you are making a method as final, then you can't override the final methods. So if you won't use final keyword before this method, so if superclass and subclass setting the same methods, then your subclass will call its own methods instead of calling your superclass method. So that is called method overriding. So that won't happens. If you are using final keyword before a method, that method cannot be overridden. And if you are using a final keyword before a class, so that class cannot be extended. So these are the users. So these are the important users by using the. So why do we use these super and final keywords? So let me look into this one. Yeah, yesterday's example, right? Yeah, this is a protected method, and this is a package name. Let me go to this. So this is package name, and inside a package. So this is also this both the classes are presented in same package. This and this. So if you are declaring a protected means you will be able to access that method or a variable within the package and as well as outside a package. But there should be a relation between the classes. So it should be a subclass of the calling class. This is another package. So this is in same package. So that's why this main method is in the same package. That's why we are able to call this M4 method, protected method. So now this is in another package. So let me go to this one. And if you want to get that method, so what should you should have a some relation. So extend relation I'm adding. So this is a class, right? Here only I'm adding. Extends and goes to pro because both are in different packages, right? So that's why you need to import. Oh, sorry, import. So which package it's there. So this is the package, right? So if you are both are in different package, so you need to import. Yeah, I have imported that class. So this is the class, right? And you need to get this method. So, so this is let me close this one. Yeah, I have imported. And for which class you need to create an object. So you will be able to access the info method. So if you want to access outside a package, so the package of your method, so M4 method is this one, and we are trying to access that protect method outside a package. So this is another package. So then you should have some relation between those two classes. So how to get the relation? By extending keyword. So now your demo is a subclass of your test class. So that's why you are able to access your protected method
So
outside a package.
so basically, like if you wanna access some variable or method outside from your package, you use protected.
No, it's depends on your requirement. That's only. See, uh, what is the use of access modifiers? So to provide some security to your data. So what are the access modifier we are discussed till now? So here only we will discuss. So I want to access my code. So anyway, within the package or outside a package or anywhere. Then
Okay, like so, like which scenario protected would be like utilized? Like like what would be the business logic?
see when you are using first thing, when you are using the private method, I don't want to access this method outside a class. So within the same package, see, let me close this one for time being. So these are two classes, right? Both are presented in same package. See, so the package is accessed. This is also presented in demo. So now I want to. So can I able to access this M2 method?
No, that's
No.
private.
Yeah,
Cannot access.
M2. We can't able to access.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on your requirement, you need to use. So I don't want to provide some code to outside the class. So I want to use some code inside a class. And how to call this M2 method? So to access this M2 method, so what you need to do is access this method in your public method of your same class, and through this you will able to access M2 function. So if I'm calling M1 outside a class, so here I am calling M1. So what will happen? M1 internally calls your M2.
M2.
So here, how I am providing the restriction access restrictions? So by using private. So like that you need to use. If I don't want to provide access to particular method or particular variable outside a class, then use private keyword. And if I want to provide access to some particular methods within the package only, within the package. So in my package, if I'm having 10 classes, here within the package, see, within the package, I'm having only two classes. So assume in your business labs, 10 classes are there. And I want to provide a particular method to uh, for this method, I want to provide access to within the package. Then use the default access modifier to this method. So if you are giving default access modifier to this method, so that method is going to access only within this package only. So within this package only, you will able to access this method. So sorry, this is private, right? So this is default. If you won't provide any access specifier before a method, then your Java compiler is going to provide the default access modifier. So and you will be able to access this method within the package, and you can't able to access this method. So this is outside package. So you can't able to access this method outside a package. So depending on your requirement, you need to use. So M3 is not present. So it is your responsibility. Depending on your requirement, you need to specify the access appropriate access method. And now M4, I want to provide the access to a particular few methods within the package and outside package also, but with some relation. Then only you will able to go for this protected access method. So in this package, and I am also having two classes, but Assume this is test and it won't have any relation with the test class. So this is test1 class and it won't have any relation with this test class. So in the test class only we are having a method m4. So can we able to access method m4 here? No, because we don't have any relation with test1 class. That's why outside a package we can't able to access. But if you want to access method outside a package, then you should have some relation between those two classes. So like extend relation.
All right.
Then typically you will able to access protected method. So depending on your requirement, you have, as a developer, you have to decide your access modifiers for a particular method.
Ravi, one question, like, can you give us a real life example, like where are you gonna use like protected, like in your career, like where did you use like protected? That will be like, it will be like really helpful.
See, that's only you are when you are working with your business real-time examples, you will have a different layers. So assume uh, so you will have different layers. Layers is nothing but folder structures. See here how many layers you are having. Assume this is your application, total one application. So one, two, three, four, like that. Here you are having around 7 layers. So like that, here you will have a DO layer, controller layer in your real-time application, and service layer, and
What is DOA?
yeah, I will come. Model layer. Like that, you will have n number of layers in your application. So not DOA, DAO. Data access object layer. So if you want to perform some operations on your database, so in your DAO layer only you want to specify that one. So it's one of the designing patterns. So you need to follow in your coding standards. So controller layer will be there, DAO layer will be there, service layer will be there, model layer. Model layer means your all your model classes, means POJO classes. So just in encapsulation we discussed, right? So what is the basic principle of encapsulation? So private variables, public methods. So variables with setter getter methods. All those classes will comes in your model layer, and service layer will comes in service layer, and your business logic. So if you want to keep your business logic in another layer, so logic like that, you will have a different layers in your application. So depending on your requirement, I want to provide some access to some particular method in the controller layer itself, and I don't want to provide access to service layer. So in that scenario, you need to use default access modifier, or a DAO is using some method. So if DAO is having two methods, so first I want to insert create some record for a student. So so this is a method. Access modifier is public. It can be accessed anyone. So then I am giving the public. Before creating the record, so I want to check so whether that student is exist or not. So, so first I am going to create a record for a particular student. So this is the logic I am doing. So before creating a student, so I want to check whether that student is existing or not. So if it exists, then I will use the existing student. So if it won't exist, then I will create that student. So then that method should use within this method only. Then I need to use private access modifier. So private. So boolean is student exists. So here first we will verify. So how you verify? So for this, you call this method here. So and depending on the condition, what it will return is either it will return true or false. So if it's true, student exists. If it's true, student exists. Else create a student. So for this, is student exists. So for this method, you no need to provide access outside the class. So this is DO class, right? So for that, what I'm doing, I'm specifying the private access modifier for this particular method. So what is the requirement of this method is before creating a student. So the student ID is assume 101. Verify whether the student is already existing with 101 or not. This is the one. So what? So here we are calling this method, and this will cause internalize this one, and this will verifies in your database whether a student is existing with 101 or not. So if existing, so it will return true. Then you won't create any student. Else, if it's false, create the student. So that is the use of this private method. So this method is need not to access outside the class. So that's why I'm adding the private access modifier to this particular method. So like this, you need to decide the access modifiers. Any questions?
No question. Thank you.
So each modifier is having its own functionality. So public. So when you need to use a public access modifier for a particular method. So assume you don't have, so you have written some method. So now you as a developer, you decide so which functionality you need to provide for this method. So for this method, I should be able to access anywhere from my code. So outside package, inside the package, and all the methods. So then make it as public. And for a method, so for this you have created a method m2, and the functionality of this method is only going to use by within the method, sorry, within the class, and you don't want to access this method outside a class. Then provide the private. And here you are writing one more method m3, and I want to the functionalities of this method is going to use by within the package, not outside the package. So don't provide any access modifier. If you don't provide any access modifier, so it will take the default access modifier by your JVM. If you are so the default access modifier means the accessibility is within the package. So within this package, and protected means outside the package, but only the classes which are subclasses of this class. So your outside package may contain 10 classes, but the classes which are subclasses of your test class only be able to access this method. So this is the way you will provide the security to your code by using access modifiers. So this is the use of your access modifiers.
One quick question, like what is a Ojo class?
So yesterday we saw that encapsulation example, right? So Pojo class is nothing but which will contains private variables and public methods. So what is, so we discussed about encapsulation, right? If you remember.
Yeah, yesterday we went over that.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, I closed that one, I think. Encapsulation. Here also I'm unable to find that example. Abstraction is here. We discussed, but yeah, here. Encapsulation. So what is this? Now you are able to understand this access modifiers, right? So public, private, and protected, and default. So encapsulation is the principle by which you can provide access to your data. So how you are providing a security to your data? So by providing private access modifier. So if you are providing private access modifier before a variable, so these are the variables. are attributes of your class. You can call it as variables or attributes of a class or data members. So you can call data members also. So these are the data and this is code. So encapsulation means binding up your data with code. So that is called encapsulation. So why we use the encapsulation? To provide security to your data. So how you will provide a security to your data? So by using access modifiers. So it might be public, private, and default or protected. So most restricted access modifier means private. If you are specifying the private means it's a mostly restricted access modifier. So you can't able to access a method or a variable. So same rules applies for variable also. Whatever the rules here we are applying for the method, the same rules are going to apply for variable also. If you are declaring a variable as a private, int, so I is equal to 20. So how to make this as a private? Private. So this variable cannot be able to access outside the class. So let's see. Can I able to access this one? So let me add one more variable, public variable, public P. So this is the class. So test. Yeah. This is the first one. Sorry, both are private. That's why. Let me make this public. So let's go to this class. So this is the object, right? So for this particular class. So this class, so we have created an object. Now see, you will be able to access only P, means it's a public variable, and you can't able to access private variable. So private is I. So the same principles applies for variables also. So whatever the principles are applied for methods, the same principles will apply for variable also. So here again I'm going to encapsulate. So encapsulation is the principle by which you can provide security to your data and how you will perform operations on your data for a particular data. So by using your code. So public methods, private variables and public methods. So binding up your private variables and public methods is called encapsulation. This is the principle by which you can provide security to your data. So if you are declaring a private variable, you can't able to access this variable outside a class. So how to perform operations on these variables then? By using public methods. So set the triplex methods and get the triplex methods. By using that, you can able to provide security to mean you will able to provide means perform some operations on that particular data. So this is
Yeah,
called
getters,
encapsulation.
getters.
So and this is called Pojo class. So Pojo classes will contains setter getter methods only. Pojo class means plain old Java objects.
Plain old Java object.
Yeah, Pojo. So if you don't have anything simple class, then in Java we call it just Pojo classes.
So like Pojo class only contains private and public access modifier variables, right? And it is only used for accessing private variables.
No, no, no. This is different, and this is encapsulation principle. So OOPS concept is having four basic principles, right?
Yeah,
Inheritance.
yeah.
So
Hmm.
inheritance means it's as its own implementation functionality. So if you are saying inheritance, so it will depends about superclass and subclass relationship.
Yeah.
So abstraction means by using abstract classes and interfaces, how you
Yes.
can able to provide the abstraction.
Yes.
So
So those are not Pojo classes?
those are also project classes only. Those are the
Oh,
project classes only. Encapsulation is different. Encapsulation is a this encapsulation principle is this one.
so basically anything is a Pojo class?
Yeah, if you are not using any complex functionality in your Java, then it's called a POJO classes. Simple, ordinary class. So
Ordinary.
class with
Like
class
complex
name.
as in like JSP and all those stuff like
No, that is different.
okay. So like enum classes are not Pojo classes?
Enum classes also POJO classes only. You can call that also POJO classes only.
So what could be a complex class?
See, your Java is divided into three parts. So, J2, Yasi, and J2, E, and J2, ME. So J2ME, J2SE. So your standard Java. So which will comes with 4 Java and J2E. So it will comes with advanced Java. So that is nothing but servlets, JSP. So JSP, JDBs. So all the classes of your core Java classes, you can call it as POJO classes. In old Java objects. So J2ME, it's mobile edition. So nowadays, no one is using J2ME because Android is there. If you want to learn this J2E, so core Java is prerequisite is core Java. So if you have no core Java, then only you will be able to understand your J2E concepts. And if you are able to understand J2E concepts, then only you will be able to know the frameworks. So Java is having n number of frameworks, but the famous frameworks are Spring, and another one is Spring Boot, and Hibernate. So nowadays everyone is using Spring Boot, so no need to concentrate on much on Spring. So we will discuss these things later. So what are the classes you are declaring in your core Java? Maximum classes are called your POJO classes only. So plain old Java classes, nothing is there, nothing complexity is there. Just it's a simple Java class. So that is called plain old Java classes. Yeah. Now, yeah, today's concept we will cover. So this keyword. So this can I use this keyword as a class name? No, you can't use this as a keyword because it's a keyword. So this
Yeah, keyword. You cannot use that
demo.
one.
So this demo and package name this. So see, so you are getting giving because it's not a valid identifier. So this one I am using. So this, yeah, there is a class. So this is a class. So close others. Let's discuss now. So this demo is a class name. So if you remember, so Part8. So we discussed about three types of variables, right? So in a class, you will have it three types of variables. So first one is instance variables. int I is equal to 10. So this is called instance variable. And depending on your requirement, provide the access modifier. So I am giving public. So if I won't give, so it's a default access modifier. So these variables will be able to access within the package. And if my package is containing other classes, within the package, the other classes will be able to access this variable. Because here I am not specifying any access modifier. If you are not providing any access modifier, so your Java compiler by default adds default access modifier before that variable or a method. So spelling is wrong, that's why it gives a default access modifier to the particular method or variable. I am adding public. So okay. So what is the difference between this? So these variables are called instance variables. And how to make this? How to add static variables? So I1 K1. I want to make these variables are static. So add static keyword. For this also static. And one more variable is also there. So these are static variables. Static variables. And one more variable is also there. So public. I am writing one method public int m1. This is a m. This is method. So which is taking two variables int a comma int b. Close. Now you are getting some issue because return type. Return something. A plus b. Now I am having one more method. So, m1 method. And it won't take any return, any value. And its return type is white. So if it's white, you don't require any return. So now assume these are my class is containing two instance variables, two static variables, and one method m and one more method m1. So these methods are called local variables. So these variables a comma b are called local variables. So the scope of these variables is inside a method. You can't able to access these variables. Okay, already we discussed these things. Something j. Can I assign the value a to j? No, because it's a local variable. That's why it's saying a cannot be resolved. So here it's saying. So now I want to access these variables outside a method also. So how can you be able to access this one? Now I want to access this value in this particular method, m1 method also. But the scope of these variables is local variables. So the scope is within the method. So to overcome that problem, so what you need to do is either you create one variable. So here you are not able to access. So for that, what you need to do is first create one instance variable and assign the value to your instance variable. Then you will be able to access it. I am creating one more variable. Some I2 K3. So now if you are its instance variable, so probably or I don't want to access these variables outside a class, then keep it as private. Private, depending on your requirement. Now what I need to do is I need to assign these values a value because it's a local variable. The scope of this variable is local. So you can't able to access this method outside this. So int. So what I need to do is for I2, I need to assign a value, and for K3, I need to assign b value. Now I will be able to access these values. Now a value is assigned to. So let me system. So I2. Now I2 is so I2 is containing a value. Now I can able to access the value here outside the method. See, you are not getting any comparison. So if I am trying to access directly A here, so you will get a compilation. So see, A is the scope of A is within the method. That's why if I am trying to access that particular variable outside a method, you can't able to access. So how to access the means local variables outside a method? So you may have some scenario, right? So where you may need to access this value in another method. So for that, what you need to do is one way of doing that is create some instance variables. So I have created one instance variables, and what I have done is I have assigned the a value to this instance variable and b value to this instance variable. Then I will be able to access these values outside a method. See, now you will be able to access that value. So how to call this method? So for that, class. So test is the class which will contain main method. Yes. So now create an object for this class. So this demo. So how many methods are there? Yum is there. Access. Yum. What's the problem? It's a public. It is expecting two variables, 2 comma 3. So 2 is going to add to your A and 3 is going to add to your B. At the same time, let me call this yum1 also. So let me run this. So now what is your output you are expecting? So your I1 should print a value and I2 so K3 okay, not K3 here I have not K. The K2 should print B value. And this so Java application. See what are the values you have passed, right? 2 comma 3. So that only it's written. So there is my console. So the console is returning their values. The output is this one. So 2 comma 2 comma 3. So what is the things you are doing? So here one output, system.out.println. Here two outputs. So this is returning 2 and this is returning 2 and this is returning 3. If you want to access your local variables, so outside a scope, so how you will be able to access? So create one set of instance variables and assign that values to the local variables to your instance variable, then you will able to access that. But if what is the disadvantage of this scenario? If you look into this, what is the disadvantage? So here we are creating one copy of a variable. So here for to pass this value, so how many variables we are creating? So 1, 2, 3, 4 variables we are creating, right? So first what we are doing is we are assigning this values, local values to your instance variable values, so instance variables. So we are assigning these local values to your instance variables, and then you are able to access that value outside a method. So for that, 4 copies of variables you are creating. So how to overcome this problem? By using this keyword. So create same variables here. So let me rewrite this example again. So now create same set of variables. Okay. So provide private or public or private as you wish. If I am creating, I will add public one. So public. So now what I need to do? Use this keyword before this. This dot a is equal to a. This dot e is equal to done. Now you will able to access a comma b values. A, b. That's no problem. This is a problem. Let me remove this. Let me run this now. See, what are the values you have given here? So 2 comma 3 only we have given, right? So from here we have passed the 2 comma 3. And after that you are calling m1 method. So what your m1 is returning 2 comma 3. So this is the advantage of using this keyword. This keyword first use is refers to your current class instance variables. So now I want to pass my local variables values to outside a method. So instead of creating one more variable, one more copy of variables, so what you need to use is this. This means it will refers to the current class instance variables. So this dot a means it will refers to this variable. This dot b means it will refers to this variable. So at the time of execution, so what will happen? So it won't create in the previous example, it will create 4 variables. But in this example, it won't create 4 variables. It will create 2 variables only, and it will reuse this depending on the requirement. So that is the use of this keyword. So did you understood or do if please let me know if you have any questions.
Could you go over like one more time? I could not really
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
Thank you.
Till this clear, right? So your Java will have 3 variables. So one is instance variables, static variables, and local variables. So these are called instance variables, and these are called static, and these are called local variables. Right? We have already discussed these things. So if you are declaring a local variable, you can't access those local variables outside a method. So outside a method means so out of the scope. So the scope of these variables is within the method only. So these are called local variables. If you declare a variable within a method, then that variable is called local variable. And that variable you may not be able to access outside a method. So your class is containing two methods. If you look into this, so M and M1. Now I want to access this value here. You can't able to access. So if you want to access that one, so what you need to do is let me here. So what you need to do is create one set of instance variables. So I have created set of instance and assign this value to this variable. So I is equal A. Now what we are doing? So we are assigning a value to your I and K is there. K is equal to B. So now we are assigning the B value to I. So now the scope of now the value is stored in A value is stored in I instance variable and B value is
Okay.
stored in K
Ravi,
instance. Yeah,
instead of creating like instead of saying I, can I call like A? Public in line number 6 and 7 instead of I.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll coming to that one. Yeah. So that will achieve by using this keyword. I will explain. So I and K. Now you are able to access these A comma B values indirectly in method M1, right? So in this method, we are assigning A value to I and B value to K. And now outside a method, you are accessing these values. To perform this, so how many variables we are creating? Four variables are we are creating and memory wastage is there. So to overcome this problem, so what I'm doing is I'm creating same variable A and B.
all right. All right. So one more thing, like in line number 6 and 7, right? A
Mhm.
and B, and then like if I
See, yeah, now instead of I, what I need to do? I need to pass the value A is equal to A and B is equal to B. Then it won't work. So it will compares the value. So my requirement is I want to assign this A value to A and B value to B. So now I should distinguish this.
why it's not gonna work?
See, one second. Let me complete. Once I completed, you can ask your question. So in the previous one, in this previous, so you are able to identify. See, your Java compiler is able to identify. So if it's I, so it's an instance variable. If it's A, it's a local variable. So what you are doing is for I, we are assigning the A value. For K, it will identify that it's the instance variable. And B is local variable. So what here we are doing, assigning the B value to K in this scenario. But but the drawback of this scenario is we are creating four variables. So the memory wastage, and we need to maintain these many variables. To overcome the problem, A, comma B. So now, how to assign? So A is equal to A and B is equal to B. So your JVM will be in ambiguous situation. So what is A? What is this A and what is this A? And who is the local variable and who is the instance variable? It won't able to identify. So to specify that one, so this is your instance variable. So you need to use this keyword before that. This keyword. So now it will identify this is your instance variable. This one. and this is your local variable. So what it will do is it will assign a local value to your instance value A and local value B to your instance variable B. So yeah, do you have any questions now? Now you will able to access those values.
Yeah, now I got it. So basically, like if you have like two variable with the same name, right? And JVM will get confused. It's like basically, and then like if you call like this, it's gonna indicate two instance variable. It's
Yeah,
basically like multiple inheritance.
yeah. So by using this keyword, you will able to assign your local variable values to your instance variable. So that is the use of this keyword. This refers to your current class. Current class means in which class you are currently. This class. So it will refers to your current class instance variables. So here what will happen? At the time of running your program, so AB local variables are created and 4 bytes of memory is going to allocate to A, 4 bytes of memory is going to allocate B. So, and those variables will be going to reuse depending on the condition. So here they are acting, A and B as acting as local variables. And here, when it comes to here, so they will act as instance variables. So no new memory is going to allocate. They are going to reuse that memory. So memory management will be in a better way. So that is the use of your instance. So this keyword. This means it will refers to your current class instance variables. And this can be used before a method, before a variable, and before a constructor. So now, yeah, do you have any questions?
No. Thank you very much. That was really good. Thanks.
Yeah. Now, this before a keyword. So, let me write one more method. Yeah. So assume this is a private method. Private method, and the method name is. Let me change the method name. So now, if it's a so it's a private method. So you can't able to access this method outside a class. So what is the use of this method then? So you need to use this method inside any public method. So yeah, yeah. What is the use of private method means in some scenarios. So according to the coding standards, there are n conditions. I want to keep some functionality within the class, and I don't want to provide this functionality outside this class. Then make that method as private, or else according to the coding standards. So this method, M1 method is containing how many lines of code? So one, two, three lines of code. So according to the coding standards, according to the client, so you will have some restriction. So assume your method should contain these many lines of the code only. Then what you need to do? So assume my client is saying your method should contain only 20 lines only, not more than that. And each class should contain only 8 methods only, not more than that. That is the coding restrictions he has kept. So assume. So now I am having two more lines. System that out that then BP. So my method is containing assume 20 lines of code. So here also some code is there. Some code. Now according to the coding standards, my method should contain only 20 lines of the code. But here assume my method is containing 30 lines of the code. But it is so when you are running some code quality tools, so they will give you issues for this method, saying that this method is not according to the coding standard. More number of lines.
So if you have like more number of lines, then like source control will give you like conflict?
No, that won't give any error. But before moving the production, your code before moving the production, you need to fulfill all your client code quality requirements. So you here, if you look into that, so Jenkins is there, Jenkins pipeline, Sonar build. So some code quality reporting tools are there. So according to that code quality tools, so this method is not qualified. So now you assume this method is containing 30 lines of code, but acceptable is 20 lines of code. So then what I need to do is I need to move this code into some other method. So
So
move
with
that.
Jenkins, we can set a method like this line of code you can check.
Sorry, come again.
Like with Jenkins, is there like we can put a specification that a method should contain like 15 lines of code or 20 lines of code?
Yeah, yeah. In
Oh,
Jenkins, uh,
oh wow, we can set a condition like that. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, thank you.
not in Jenkins, you will have a Sonar queue reporting
Sonar.
bit
Okay.
that is used for code quality. So we will use Sonar queue is there. Jenkins is for continuous integration.
Yeah, continuous
Yeah,
integration. Yeah.
so that is the use. So now, so to resolve that code issue, so what I need to do is I need to move this code to some other private method because I don't want to provide this method accessible to outside. So this is a one scenario using your private method. See, if your code is not following the minimum coding standards, then your CI build itself fails. Like minimum coding, so every client will have its own requirements. So you need to import that profile into your form file. So your CA build means Jenkins CA build itself verifies the basic conditions like number of lines in a method, number of lines in a method and number of methods in a class and code complexity and conditions, all those things it will check in CA build itself. If it's not according to the requirement, CA build itself fails there. And your Sonar Cube will verify all those things with your my major minor issues and uh, lines coverage, code coverage, all those things it will check. So this is one
Wow.
use.
Thank you.
This is one use. So move that code which is not satisfying your condition. So now assume your method is 20 lines only. And the remaining 10 lines you move to some other method. So in which method do I need to keep it as public? No. Nothing will happen. If you are keeping public also, nothing will happen. But you need to follow the coding standards. So, because this method is not going to used outside this class. So that's why you need to follow better practices, better coding practices. So according to the coding standards, if that particular method is not going to use outside a class, you need to keep private. And how to call this private method inside a public method. So this is the public method. So if you are calling some method inside a method, what will happen? So here at the compile time only your Java compiler will act this keyword before this method. So if you look into the interface, all the methods are by default space I1. So all methods are by default public abstract. Abstract to direct YAML. So the method name is YAML and return type is assumed by. So I am having one more method. M2 method. So by default, all the methods of your interface is public abstract. So you no need to keep this one. If you keep also no issues, but it's not suggestible to according to the best coding quality coding practices. You are not supposed to keep public abstract before an interface. In interface, all methods are abstract, public abstract only. So who is going to add that public abstract key before your method? at the time of you are compiling this code, so your Java compiler, Java C, is going to append this code before your method. So you don't need to. In the same way, so if you are calling some method inside another method, so this keyword is by default going to add by your Java compiler. No need to add manually. So you do not to add explicitly. If you are calling some method inside a method, means this keyword is going to add by your Java compiler, because your Java compiler is going to say, so this refers to, so let me come once, this refers to your current class only. So if you are calling this method, so where it needs to look for this method, so your Java compiler will add this keyword before it. So your JVM at the time of running this code. So this means this dot M3 means it will able to understand, oh, this method M3 is presented within the class only. Then it will check for this method within the class. So that is the use of this keyword. And tomorrow also we will discuss about this. Yeah. Yeah. If you have any questions, we will discuss, or else not tomorrow, next week, right? Next week we will discuss about this keyword and super and final.
Sure. Yeah. And please upload the video, okay?
Yeah, few have already uploaded. Today's one I will upload in
Sure.
few hours.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
Yeah, you too. Bye.